It's Saturday night.
All right, people, it's November 1st. And it's going to be 65 degrees. It's funny. I feel like I've been talking more and more about the weather this fall, but I'm trying to will it into existence for it to be incredible until about Thanksgiving. So I'm going to continue to talk about it, knowing that it's going to be 70 degrees this week. And I'm on this big kick about vitamin D and what it does for your mood. So I'd encourage you, go outside, get some fresh air, get some vitamin D, and then come back to whatever it is that you're dealing with the buyer's parents who want to get in the middle of your transaction. So today will be actually pretty quick and efficient. My goal today is to plant a big seed that over time, I'm going to make sure that you water so that it will sprout. Because here's my concern. My concern is we're entering into a period where inventory is quite possibly at its lowest, at a period in which inventory should be rising. And because affordability is becoming an issue, you are lacking buyers. So if buyers can't sell anything, sellers can't sell anything, nor can they buy anything. And all of a sudden you're like looking up one day and saying, whoa, it's really quiet. So I'm going to plant a seed at the very end of team meeting to get you to think. Okay. Now, having said that, it's November 1st. It's a beautiful day and we're going to have a great day. Also, I want to give a little shout out. Two things. One, 2 weeks ago, Naomi Spellman who used to be an intern in our office, was a part of the university school team that won the state championship for girls tennis. So shout out to Natasha, her daughter, right? And then the other one is shout out to Molly Triggs and Maggie Drain, who have 3 boys on the #1 ranked Whitefish Bay Blue Duke soccer team that are going for a state championship this week, Thursday at 11. So if you're looking for something to do on a Thursday afternoon, they canceled school and they're getting buses at Eline Soccer Park. So if you're looking for something to do, here's what I'm doing. I'm pulling Chase out of K5 and we're going to go to the soccer game together. So there you go. So Maggie Drain has 2 boys that are my cousins. My neighbor plays on the team. Every time I see him, I just look them square in the eyes and I say, it's gold ball season, baby. Bring home the gold ball. So Triggs, Maggie, Tosh, congrats. She already brought home a gold ball, but yeah, it's fun. It's a good time. So, all right, moving in, mission, vision, values, beliefs, and perspective. But one of the things I wanted to do is talked a little bit, I've been on this theme the last couple of weeks of Havra, because I think that as the market gets more difficult, you need your community to help you pull you through. Okay. And that you aren't going through it alone. Everybody is going through it together. You need to be thinking about it, and it's okay to smile, laugh, cry, get really pissed off, do whatever it is that you need to do, but don't do it alone. Okay. Don't do it alone. And last week, there was a ton of incredible events where community came together. Wednesday, we had Bold with 150 people. Thursday, there was a really incredible mastermind in Tosa. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, there was a whole bunch of Halloween events. And I'll get back to that. And there was some really great opportunities for us to bring our families into our world, to share in what it is that we do in terms of our culture and our environment, right? Here's some examples of Tosa. The biggest party night of the year, which if you haven't been, I encourage you to go next year, is the Halloween trick or treat in the business district in downtown Heartland. Here's the Lake Country office. Just bringing people together, just to smile, laugh, have a drink, and make it so that it's not so serious. And then finally on Friday, we finished with a happy hour. Shout out to Sid and Willis, who put together a great little afternoon of bringing people together, right? And I use this as an example to say, like, I get it right now. We've been doing a lot of things from a training and education perspective to get people to think. And it feels as if the level of intensity or energy or passion is going up. And yet at the same time, it's totally cool to slow down and bring your people into our world and gather together to go through what it is that we're going through together and enjoy it, smile. And guess what? The game is not won or lost on a day, a month, a year. It's an infinite game, and you have to go on in infinity. And there are no winners or losers in business. It's just those that run out of the resources and willpower to play the game. So I use this as a great example of last week where we got people together just to have fun. So I encourage you to think about how you're creating moments of Havra within your world or within your community or within your database, because here's what I also think. I think that the world's going to get interesting here in the next 6 months, and that you have people within your database that need either your advice, need your sounding board, whatever it may be, and we can be there for those to support them to build that strong bond and connection. Okay, that's the first part of the theme, and I'm going to wrap it up on the back half to put a bow on this. Sound good? Beautiful. Also, we're hiring. So if you know of any really talented people that want to come and join our world, hit me up. Lots of opportunity. I just have to find the right talent and I will put them in the right opportunity, because lots of people are hiring, which is the blessing of where we are. The blessing is that we work in a really incredible place with a lot of highly productive people that want to put people to work. So if you know of anybody who wants to get into our world, have them hit me up. Cool. Lastly, because I have gotten a ton of texts about this, if you need Andy's contact information, I threw this in here just so that everybody had it. So take a screenshot of it. If you need it again, you can text me. I'll send it out. But I was really, really impressed with the amount of people that were really taken back by Andy's presentation, which honestly rarely happens from a vendor standpoint. But again, November 11th is Veterans Day. You know my affinity for veterans. So if you want to utilize Andy's services, I just threw this back up here because I was actually surprised at how many people reached back out to me. So I'm trying to make it easier for you so that it's there on the screen. Cool. Got what you need? Beautiful. All right, moving on. Vranik, I think we're flipping it over to you for Tech Tuesday.
Okay, good morning. All right, so we talk about leverage all the time. You've heard us talk about it literally almost every week, I feel like. But with the shift in the market, it's really important to come prepared when you're talking to potential buyers and sellers. And so we want to equip you guys with the right tools, and the listing and buyer presentations are going to do that. And I don't know why my slide is so tiny, but so we have the Market Center, the KW Market Center listing and buyer presentations available for every single agent in our market centers. And so these are going to come fully prepared and customized to your business, your brand. And so included in these presentations, you'll find Keller Williams statistics. So if you're in competition with somebody for a listing, it's going to showcase why Keller Williams is the place to be. It's the place to list your home with. Agent statistics, your bio, stages for selling a home, photography, marketing, all of the steps to selling a home, the offer process. It's going to walk you through all of that. Each of the buyer and seller presentations are going to include the home warranty information, testimonials, again, things that are branded to you and your business. Same thing with the buyer presentation. Keller Williams statistics, more geared towards the buyer side, buying versus renting, mortgage rates, information about that. So we pulled in some information that came from MegaCamp and included some of those slides into the buyer presentation, so that you can, discuss some of those things with your potential buyers. Creating a wish list, steps to buying a home, writing an offer, information on inspections and negotiating repairs. So all of that content is included in these presentations. So again, if you have not bookmarked this website, I highly suggest that you do, kwrealtymke.com. You guys, this is our local website. So this is a website that we've created. We are the ones adding the information and the resources into this site. So where you can find the listing and buyer presentation, you'll see the KW Marketing Concierge. And so in that drop-down menu, Both of those are listed out. And so if you want to request this, all you have to do is click to order, and you do have a form that you'll fill out. And this is just the information that we need in order to customize this for you. And then you'll get the PDF, you'll get the digital link, and we can continue to make edits to this for you. This is a resource for you. We want to make this the best that it can be for your business. And so if you need to make changes to anything, add pages to it, we can do all of that. So any questions on either of these, please let me know. But it's free, you guys. It's completely free. Thank you, Mandy. So the design, everything, it's free. The only thing that would cost is if you wanted to get these professionally printed, or if you wanted to get them binded at the office with a unibind. We do have hardcover and clear covers available. So I believe the hardcover is $15, and then the clear cover is $1.40 or something like that. But the actual presentation itself is completely free. One other thing, you guys, is we do have an update to our yard signs. So we do have a new option included in the Marketing Concierge, the yard sign section of the website. So a lot of people have been asking for more, not aluminum, but more of the plastic open house tent signs. And so those have been added. So you'll see pricing in here on the website. And just like ordering anything else, yard panels, other open house signs, riders, you'll click to order, fill out a form, and then we'll get those ordered for you and designed and all of that. And again, that is located on our kwrealtymke.com website under yard signs, order yard signs. You will see that as an option now moving forward. Again, questions about any of this, you can reach out to me. Thank you.
Beautiful. Well, I owe Lindsay an apology because I didn't inspect what I expected. And I put the presentation together every week and realized that I totally screwed up the formatting. So Lindsay, that's totally on me. I apologize. All right. With that, I'm flipping it over to Lieutenant Steph, who's got a compliance update for us. Steph.
Good morning, guys. All right, as Joni and I always like to preface our spot in the team meeting by saying that, you know, when we're coming together and deciding what we want to highlight for each team meeting, it's always in reaction to questions that we're getting, usually from the previous week. We always are getting questions around the inspection, but we wanted to isolate and talk about the inspection contingency deadlines specifically. We're getting questions from new agents, but also seasoned agents. So I wanted to bring this to the greater audience today.
Steph, right. It's amazing. It's amazing what happens when inspections go away and then all of a sudden they come back.
Right.
And you get questions from someone, you're like, you've been doing this business for like 20 years. What do you mean?
Exactly.
It's amazing how quickly people forget.
Yes. So just wanted to, like, we're here to protect you guys, right? So as a reminder, this is 101 inspection deadline. How is the inspection contingency deadline determined? So again, I just wanted to remind how this is calculated. The inspection deadline is calculated from adding the amount of days named on line 206 of the offer to the accepted offer date. So if our accepted offer date was yesterday and there's a 15-day deadline, our deadline date is November 15th. And I just put in a pro tip, use timeanddate.com. I think some of you guys are using those already, but to calculate your dates and deadlines in or from our offers that we're going to communicate back to our buyers, use timeanddate.com. Don't use your calendar and count it out. This is a great tool to use. It's bookmarked for me for sure.
Pro tip.
All right. Pro tip.
It's amazing how many people forget how to count 14 days. Yeah. You'd be shocked.
Next slide. So true or false? If, as a buyer's agent, I send an amendment to the listing agent with a binding acceptance date after the inspection deadline, the inspection deadline becomes obsolete and the binding acceptance date is the new deadline. You should all know this.
Wait, read it again, Steph.
If, as a buyer's agent, I send an amendment to the listing agent with a binding acceptance date after the inspection deadline, the inspection deadline becomes obsolete and the binding acceptance date is the new deadline. False.
False.
Thank you. So the inspection deadline does not change because the binding acceptance date falls after that inspection deadline. If a buyer's agent wants to give the seller more time for consideration, then the buyer and seller need to first amend the contract to extend the inspection contingency deadline. So often, as buyer's agents, we're not ready to respond back to the seller with our repair requests until maybe that day before that deadline. And we don't want to surprise them and we want to give them more time for consideration. Then we first need to extend the inspection contingency deadline to give more time for that. And then just in red down here, I wrote what you would write on an amendment. The inspection contingency deadline is extended from November 15th to what the new date is. All right, so please keep that in mind. Next slide. If an agreement has not been made either on the repairs themselves or an agreement to extend the deadline and the buyer does not want to buy the house as is, a notice of defects must be delivered prior to the inspection contingency deadline. So if that inspection contingency deadline passes, the contingency waives itself and the buyer is buying the house as is. So it's very important as buyer's agents to be mindful of that. If that contingency deadline passes, it waives itself. I wonder if we missed a slide actually, but it's okay. Can the offer still be amended after a notice of defect has been delivered? Yes, absolutely. So if the buyer and seller can still come to an agreement via an amendment once a notice of defects is delivered, if they choose to extend the deadline or come to other terms, then the notice of defects would also need to be rescinded within the language of that amendment. So this must be agreed upon by both parties. Buyer cannot unilaterally rescind a notice of defects. So there's a common misconception out there that a buyer's agent could deliver a notice of defects and an amendment at the same time if they're coming down to the wire. That's not true. A notice of defects trumps an amendment. So if they come to other terms after that notice of defect is delivered, which is perfectly fine and perfectly acceptable, that notice of defects though still needs to be rescinded within that amendment language. Hopefully this is all making sense. Next slide. Does an amendment have to be rejected in order to serve a notice of defects? No, this happened over the weekend. A comment was made to me that an amendment needed to be rejected before that buyer was able to serve a notice of defects. That's not true. A notice can be delivered at any time. And best practice always, and what is encouraged by us when Joni and I are teaching on the inspection contingency, is to come to terms via an amendment first, of course, but before drawing that final line in the sand. But a notice of defect can be delivered at any time during the inspection period. What else? Next slide. So again, I'll just say this again. If approaching the deadline, can a buyer's agent send a notice and amendment at the same time? No, a notice of defects trumps an amendment. So if the parties do agree to execute an amendment, rescission language again would need to be included around the notice. Both parties have to agree to rescind a notice of defects. A buyer cannot unilaterally do that. I'm repeating myself here, trying to just drill this in.
You got to hear it 9 times, Steph, before it sinks in. So don't worry about repeating.
So, and then I just wanted to highlight this line of the offer to purchase. There is a cautionary line right in the inspection contingency language. Caution, buyer should provide sufficient time for the home inspection and or any specialized inspections as well as any follow-up inspections. So when you're determining that date for the inspection contingency deadline, you're going to factor in the condition of the home. I mean, maybe 15 days isn't long enough for that inspection contingency deadline. Typically it's 10 to 15 days, but maybe you need more time than that. So just be mindful. And if you do need more time, then both parties need to agree to extend that inspection contingency deadline date. All right. Any questions? Come to Joni or I, please, if you do. All right. And then just more reminders around the GMAR dues. Yesterday was the last day to save $25. So now if you're going to be paying between today and November 30th, you're going to pay the total shown on your invoice. If you pay after December 1st, between December 1st and the 31st, you're going to add $50 to the total shown on your invoice. And then don't let this happen. If you are paying after January 1st, you're going to add $225 to the total shown on your invoice. Don't let that happen, you guys. All right.
Steph,
Then,
just out of curiosity, how many people in our world have already renewed their dues? Any guess?
I'm gonna say, I'll say about a third of
50%?
us. About a third of us have.
Woo!
Yeah.
A third. People, write the damn check and send it in. Let's go.
It's pretty good, actually. So, all right, continuing education classes. Again, most of us have, about a third of us have done them. But for those of us who have not yet, this is where we go. I encourage you guys just to go through the WRA. You're going to sign into WRA.org, go to the education tab, scroll down to continuing ed. And then on the right-hand side, another menu will pop up and you'll go to real estate CE. And that's where you'll take your classes. All of this again is due by December 14th.
When is it due? Thank you.
Thank you. And then once you are done with your CE, then you're going to renew your license online. This is finally open. I was given the wrong date back in early October, so I apologize. But now it's definitely open. You're going to go to DSPS. I have all of the instructions in our Facebook pages, and I believe I emailed them out as well. We can do that again, but you're going to go to the self-service tab. And then you'll be led to the page to renew your license. If you want to go to the next slide, I think I have them all out here. Yeah, I've got these bullet pointed out on our Facebook pages, and they should be pinned to the top of our Facebook pages. You'll need your DSPS PIN, and you're also going to need your agent license number. So be prepared with that when you are ready to pay or renew your license. Renewal is only $60. Our cheapest fee.
$60. All right.
Okay,
Steph?
then next up, when you're done with all of that, you're going to email me at stephc@kw.com. So,
Guys,
Thank
we want to
you.
make sure that you can continue to earn your incomes in 2023. You got me? Beautiful. All right, here we go. Moving on. Next up, training and education. Couple things. Reminder, contract helplines available to you. Sarah Jo Dietrich, shout out to Mayor Stillman, who did it for many years. Sarah Jo's now part of the contract helpline. So if you need help and you can't get a hold of Joan or Steph, or you just want to bounce an idea off someone, give Steph or Sarah Jo a call. 414-368-9359. One call. That's all. That's the lamest joke ever. All right, Bold, quick clarification for you guys, just so you guys know, this week, Wednesday, we have Bold again at the zoo, okay? One of the things you have to know about Bold is Dennis is offering optional, I'm going to repeat, optional coaching at 8:35 on Wednesdays before the Bold Room. Historically, quite a few people have taken advantage of the optional coaching. This week's optional coaching at 8:35 is ideas all around how to get to 100 contacts in a week. So if you're interested in how to get your homework done, the 100 contacts a week, show up at 8:35 and he'll lead the group discussion for 20 to 25 minutes, and then he'll jump right into the Bold content material. A couple other things as it relates to Bold, for those of you who are in the room, which is about 100 of the people on this call, here's what you need to know. Today, we will be sending out to the captains a link to get all the numbers for you. I need you to report your numbers today so that we can efficiently go through that tomorrow. I owe it to you. Second, I heard you. Lunch will be sooner this week. I promise. Okay. Third, the other promise I will always have to you is we will be done at 2:30. Okay. So come hell or high water, I will protect your time. And in order to protect your time, I need you to help me. That means show up on time, get your numbers in, do the activities. And here's the last thing. I heard a lot of, oh, I didn't know Bold was 100 contacts a week. I didn't know if I had to do 20 a day, and I didn't do the homework. Like, The seeds you sow today are what's going to show up in Q1 and Q2. So you can be about it or you can bitch about it. I would challenge you to be about it because you need to do the activities. It's an activity-based class that is all around accountability, and the special sauce is those who you do it with. So if you don't want to be about it, that's cool. Just raise your hand and we'll help you get out. Okay? I'm being honest. Like, I'm all good. If you don't want to be in it, don't be in it. But if you're going to be in it, do the 100 dials. Your families need it. And I hope you understand how passionate I am, because I am very nervous about first quarter of 2023. And so I'm trying to create a little sense of urgency for everybody to do the damn homework. Make sense? All right, here we go. We'll see you tomorrow at Bold. That's Wednesday. All right, November training calendar. Here you go. It's coming out. One thing I also do want to say, and I want to keep this a secret and a surprise. November 11th is Veterans Day. Next week, November 9th, in the Bold room, I would love for you to show up in red, white, and blue. Okay? Because I want to celebrate Dennis in his service to our country when he's with us on November 9th. So can you do that for me? And I want to keep it a surprise. So don't mention it, but November 9th, wear red, white, and blue in the Bold room so that we can celebrate Dennis and his service to our country. Cool? Other than that, a couple other things, how to get paid in command. If you haven't seen it or done it, here we go this Friday at 10 a.m. via Zoom. Lindsay and Kathleen will be walking you through what that means and how to get paid. For the majority of you, I'm sure it'll be redundant. You don't really need it, but we needed to update the video anyway. So we thought, oh, we'll throw it out there. Next, we had a great mastermind last week that Rick Reuven led over in Tosa on Thursday morning. The next series in this evolution that we're going to be doing on a week or a monthly basis is Amanda Schroeder's take on how she built her team and what she's done to essentially 2x her business every year for the last couple of years. She's doing it on Thursday, November 10th at 1:30 p.m. at Innovation. So if you want to continue to be a part of that series on what it means and how she did it to build her team, be on the lookout. And we will have something else again in December. More news to come. Sound good? Beautiful. Lastly, here's the seed I want to plant. The juice that makes the market go or stop. Does anybody know what it is? Yeah, it's probably a loaded question because it could be a million things. Here's what I want to hone in on. Well, and this is a follow-up from last week. There's a direct correlation to the number of people you have in your database and your income opportunity. Okay, I'm just going to leave this right here because you should be thinking about what it is that you have in your database, how you're growing your database, how you're touching your database, and how you are on the dance floor with your database all the time. Because there is no secrets to the size of your database directly correlates to the opportunity you have at earning your income. Okay, now going back to the juice that makes the market go or stop, today's rendition of that juice is affordability. Okay. Affordability drives the industry. Buyers have to be able to buy in order for sellers to be able to sell. I'm going to repeat that. Buyers have to be able to buy in order for sellers to be able to sell. Affordability, it's your thermometer and it's accurate. Okay. I'm planting a seed here because we're going to give you some ideas here over the next several weeks as creative ways in which that you're going to find ways to get buyers into houses. Because without buyers, there's no sellers, basically. Okay. With rates where they are, you have, and I'm going to repeat this in a big way, you have to be great at playing the game of how do we make this deal work. With rates where they are, and by the way, if you haven't heard, they're expecting to go up again on Thursday. You have to be great at playing the game of how can we make this deal work. The game in 2023 is going to reward those who think competitively and strategically. The game is going to reward those in 2023 who think competitively and strategically. And it's a game you must learn how to play and win. It is a game you must think how to play and win. And guess what? For those of you who say, oh, I'm cool, I'm only the listing agent. Guess what? You're part of the game. It takes 3 people for affordability to work: a buyer, a seller, and a lender. A buyer's agent and a seller's agent. Okay. So let's take a look at something. This morning, I pulled the mortgage calculator just simply off of Google. And at 2021 rates at 3% on a $350,000 house with 10% down the loan amount would be $315,000 at a 3% interest rate. The monthly payment on that is $1,328 a month. That's where we were. Okay. This morning, with a 7.6% interest rate, the monthly payment is $2,230 a month. That is a 68% increase within a one-time period. And if it didn't hit you over the forehead yet in terms of what that did for the same amount of house, I'll just go back and forth, and back and forth. Okay. So if you don't think affordability is what's going to make this business go moving forward, you need to be thinking about how you're competitively and strategically playing the game to get people into homes. And both sides of the transaction play a part. Okay, you have to be thinking about creative financing as ways to resolve affordability challenges. It's a 3-step process you have to achieve, and I would write this down. 1, you have to be clear about what the buyers, sellers, and lenders want. 2, you have to be well versed on what each of them can do creatively to put a sale together. And this, I think, is the most important thing. Each party in the transaction has a list of options they can consider to make a sale work. And guess what? The days of you being the shark co-broke who treats the other co-broke really shitty because you know you're the big bad listing agent or whoever it may be, right? And that you basically have all the leveraging power, that's totally gone away. And we have to look at the relationships we have with our co-broke to say, okay, great. How am I going to come together with my co-broke who we both want the same thing? We both want the deal together, come together, right? Each one has a list of options and both have to consider how to make a sale work. I do believe our co-broke relationships in 23 are going to be more vital than ever in terms of how we communicate with each other in order to get deals together. Okay. And both parties have to be creative in making all of this work at one time. Okay. Now, here's something you have to think about. In the last 36 months, you basically only had to deal with 5 variables: the offer amount, the down payment, the loan amount, interest rate, and length term. As we enter into the market of where we're going, you have 24 variables you have to consider. Here are the 24 variables. And I'll send this to you. Okay? There's sellers, what creative things sellers can do to sell their house. There are creative things buyers can do to purchase a home. And there are creative things lenders can do to help finance a transaction. Now, this list, I will tell you, is also evolving and growing. People are getting creative in the ways in which deals will get done. The reason I'm planting this seed now is this is going to be a continuous theme for us on Tuesday team meetings, because I have to scour the market to help you find creative ways to get deals done. And it's my job and responsibility to bring you those ideas and put them forth. Today is day 1 of that, to get you to think about how affordability impacts the way in which that we get deals together. Okay? Because at the end of the day, you have to be able to put together any combination of the 24 variables. And the greater your awareness of the variable options, the more creative solutions you can offer to make the transaction work. Okay, the greater your awareness of the variable options, the more creative solutions you can offer to make the transaction work. So I'll send these 24 variables out to you today. I'll put it in the email. It's the only thing that'll be in the email, just so that you have it right there. And the subject to be 24 variables. You got me? Now, last week I shared with you a bold thought of the day, and I'm going to end with the same bold thought of the day today. I have another one for you tomorrow that I'll send out. Okay? But this is very apropos for where we are. For those of you who follow Hermosi, he's really good, by the way. He posted this last week. Charlie Munger, who is Berkshire Hathaway's number 2, right, said that the fortune isn't made in the buy or the sell, it's made in the wait. In a world that applauds big brains, business is a game of strong stomachs. I'll repeat that. Business is a game of strong stomachs. Smart people destroy the likelihood of success because they can't stick with their plan. They jump from thing to thing, never unlocking the compounding that creates outsized returns. Okay. They jump from thing to thing that never unlocking the compounding that creates outsized returns. And in a way that a person born with few advantages can unlock the greatest one, unrelenting focus. Unrelenting focus. It's hard to suck when you've done more of something than anyone else. I encourage you, have a strong stomach, have unrelenting focus, and do something more than the other people you have to compete with for the business that you earn. And when you have great relationships in this business, you will find creative ways to get deals together. Annie.
Can there be classes or in productivity for December on those 24 points, just to drill down on them more because, yeah.
Guess what? Today's day one of a new theme. Yes, it's coming. So we're working with ways. I wanted to plant seeds with you so that as you're talking to lender partners and you're talking to co-brokes and you're thinking about these things today, because now is the great time to be thinking about them so that when you get to Q1, here's what's going to happen. Q1, all your peers are going to look up and say, holy shit, what do I do? And my job is to get you ready so that you're like, I got this, no worries. Because if you come across that way, you will earn more business than your peers. Make sense? Guys, November 1st, there's your team meeting. Lake Country, I'll let you jump over to the Lake Country meetup. North Shore and Tosa crew, I'm going to switch over to coming soons. Guys, have a great week. Go Dukes.